Hi, thank you for being a student mentor for Washington Bridge Education Foundation.
Hi, my name is Aaron Frey. I'm a 26 graduate at WCHS, and I chose to join the Army after high school.
That's great. And at what point in high school did you, or was it even sooner than that, did you decide to choose this career path after leaving high school?
Honestly, all my life, back as far as I can remember, I pretty much knew I wanted to join the military. I wasn't sure what branch,
Mm-hmm.
but my dad was in the Army. His brother was in the Marines. My grandpa was in the Army back in Vietnam.
Mm,
Uh,
okay.
it's a pretty long standing family tradition for us. So
So it was a pretty easy decision for you to make that
yeah,
that
yeah,
path.
kind of came into fruition. I'd say probably around my junior year when I finally decided to make that jump and actually commit to it.
All right. So what does that mean to make the jump and commitment to it? What did you have to do to
Um,
get ready?
it's a pretty simple process. Usually the recruiters will start reaching out around your junior year, early in your senior year.
Through
But it,
school?
yeah, so I think I know at least when I was in Washington, the recruiters would come. They'd sit in on lunches, have their little table set up and everything.
Okay.
But yeah,
So you met with a recruiter then to start this process,
yeah, yeah.
and they will lead you through everything you need. Did you need to meet specific with Army once you decided Army, or did you investigate all the branches?
So at the beginning, I checked out all the different branches, talked to almost all the recruiters, just to see what would fit me best. But
Mhm.
ultimately, the Army recruiter was just we kind of clicked. He's able to basically highlight each step that I would have to take to further my career and all that. So Army seemed like the best choice for me.
Okay, so could you describe a little bit your plan? So the plan is to go into the Army, but then what was your long term to go to do after the Army or stay in the Army the whole time?
Yeah. So for me, my plan is to stay in for at least 20 years. 20 years, you can get all your retirement benefits and all that. Um, but the first step is really just choosing what military occupational specialty you're gonna choose. So I chose infantry, but in the Army, there's pretty much any job you could want in the civilian world. There's usually an equivalent to it in the military.
Could you
So
give me an example?
yeah, so they have media specialists. Like we have our own news system and all of that.
Hmm.
Different outreach type of stuff. So there's constructional engineers. Um, yeah, there's scientists, research positions, the pretty much anything that you would want to be able to do. And the nice thing about the Army or really any branch of services, you don't really have to pay for all of that education and training. The Army will put you through all of that on their own.
Okay, so you were able to meet with the recruiter, uh, get through all the applications processing to become to join the Army, but then you decided to cover what then to study while you were in the Army also.
I'm in the infantry, so it's
Okay, you said that, right?
front line,
Mhm.
like kicking indoors, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like what a lot of people that's the first thing they think of with the Army, but there's a lot more opportunities other than that. So,
So, as a high schooler, uh, or even entering high school, anyone, were there classes that you would recommend taking that might help you through this process of schooling within the Army and going into the Army?
um, nothing specific. I'd say just PE or playing different sports just to help you physically
Hmm.
prepare for the day to day taskings and stuff like that.
So it's very physical.
Yeah, especially with my job, like it's called rucking, but it's basically just like hiking through the woods with a load on your back, like a large backpack, basically. So stuff like cross country or wrestling,
Mhm.
stuff like that really helps you get physically and also mentally prepared for it.
Right. So is that something that a recruiter covers with you beforehand to know that you need to be physically fit and ready for this as you're entering?
Yeah, so I went to the Pekin Recruiting Center, and they have, it's called a Future Soldier program.
Hmm.
Uh, so basically, you'll sit down with your recruiter. They'll give you basically like a step by step guide on what you need to be able to do to be prepared for when you go to basic and beyond that. And then they'll go over different information type stuff to help you succeed once you actually get there.
So could you walk us through then you left high school and then you went basic training and
Yep.
then from there.
Yeah. So met with the recruiter. We did all the paperwork. You have to go down to St. Louis. That's where the nearest like in processing station is for it. And then from there, depending on what job you pick, they'll fly you to that certain base for your basic training. So I went down to Fort Benning, Georgia.
Mhm.
Go through. Ours was 16-week basic training,
Mhm.
um, and then from there they'll give you your orders for what division or what base you're going to from there. So after basic, I got sent up to Fort Drum, New York,
Mhm.
and I've been there ever since.
Okay. So you're in New York. Nice for you.
Yeah.
So leaving high school and choosing this career path, what type of expenses could be anticipated?
That is the nice thing about the army. I didn't have to spend any of my own money out of pocket for any of the travel to any of these places or um, anything like that. They pay for your flights, they pay for your meals. They'll issue you your uniforms and all the equipment you'll need. So it's a pretty low cost for anything like that.
Okay. And then as you finish and you keep getting in place and you just keep working on your area of expertise and so where are you at this point? Are you you're just active and are you working? Do you go to a job every day? What's a typical day for you at this point?
Yeah, typical day. We come in to work around 6:30 in the morning. Conduct physical training for about an hour and a half. They give us another hour and a half for like a breakfast break. Then you come in again at 9:30. You have another hour and a half for lunch. But basically, like day to day taskings, there's a bunch of different stuff you'll have to do. Um, but I'd say that the main part of at least infantry, we go to the field a lot. We have a lot of training exercises, anywhere from like a day up to a full month that we'll be out there training.
And what are you training? You're obviously you're preparing. So what are you preparing for? What might you have to be expected to do?
Yeah. So like I said, each job has their own different requirements, but for infantry, um, like you're training to go overseas and deploy and different stuff like that.
Okay. So you're 6 years into this, correct?
Yeah.
So you're pretty comfortable. You seem to be pretty happy. You're stuck with it. And how do you live? Do they provide that, or are you?
Yeah, so as a single soldier, they provide you with a barracks room. It's basically like just a small apartment almost,
Mhm.
or like a dorms room
Mhm.
with all the other soldiers of your unit. And then once you get married, they give you it's called a BAH, basic allowance for housing.
Mm.
So whatever your pay rank is, it qualifies you for a certain amount of money. So I currently live just off post. They also pay you for groceries and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So pretty much all all your basic necessities like food, clothing, and housing are paid for on top of the paycheck you already get.
Okay. So this is what you foresee for the next 20 years. Like you will live in this setting or you may move to different bases.
Yeah, so it all depends. So at the end of every contract, you have the option to reenlist and stay in.
Hmm.
You can reenlist for like different bases, different schools to be able to go to. So usually your typical contract is about 3 years. You can do a little shorter. I just reenlisted for an additional 6 years. So there's a wide range, but with every reenlistment, you can choose like, hey, I want to go to this base, and if that option is available at the time, um, they do all the paperwork for you, and then you end up moving wherever you decided to go. I've just chosen to stay up here.
Great. And let's say you wanted to end your contract. You can
Mm-hmm.
do that after, and then what would you do? What would you do with where you are so far in your career, if you can?
Yeah, so the Army, it's called the Soldier for Life Transition Program. So you start that 18 months to a year out from when your contract ends, and it
Mm,
basically just prepares you to transition into a civilian life. They go over making resumes, how to like handle your money now that everything won't be paid for, and
mm.
stuff like that. And the nice thing about joining the Army in Illinois is Illinois has their own program that guarantees you at least one job interview within the area that you were working in.
Yeah, that's great. So you've really made a great career choice and path that seems to really fit. You would you have some if you could do it all over again, is there something you would change or advice you could give, like you might want to check this out or speak with this person?
Yeah. So I personally wouldn't change anything that I've done. But I know a lot of people I've talked to, the recruiters obviously have certain metrics that they need to meet for like different jobs.
Hmm.
So if you were thinking about this, I would definitely do your research on what job you wanted to go into before you started talking to a recruiter, because they
Hmm.
might try and push you one way or the other. So just
You mean
having
numbers?
that, yeah, so
Okay.
just having that reference of what exactly you wanted to do and get out of it before you joined is definitely an advice I would give.
So yours wasn't set up where you would then go on to college, but
No,
okay.
uh, if the Army does, they pay for college. So if you wanted to join as an officer, they
Mhm.
have ROTC programs. Then so they'll pay for your college degree and all that type of stuff. But as an enlisted soldier, they also have different programs to help you get your degree. They'll also pay for it. So if that's something you wanted to do as well, if you already have your degree, if you decide you just want to wait, then you come in at a higher rank than
Mm.
someone who doesn't have any college experience and stuff like that. So there's lots of opportunities.
That's not, yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like there's a lot of different avenues. I guess one other question that I'm curious about is this a lifetime commitment or once you break the contract, will you ever be asked to serve again?
When you first enlist in the Army, you whatever your contract is, usually it's like a 3 year contract, and then when you get out, you still owe the Army. It's inactive ready reserve time.
Mhm.
So from the date you enlist or commission, you have an 8 year obligation, but that doesn't mean that you have to be in for that entire time. So
Mm.
like if I was to get out after my first contract, my first 3 years, I would still owe a total of 5 years
Mhm.
on top of that, where you're not in the Army, you don't have any ties to them anymore. But if like some global catastrophe was to kick off, you would be brought back before they'd start like a draft or anything like that.
Mm.
But
Up
something
until
like that,
those 8 years?
yeah. So I think like the last time anything like that was introduced was I think Vietnam. I could be
Mhm.
wrong, but
Okay,
yeah.
interesting. Anything else you could advise a young person who might be thinking of going into the military?
Um, not that I can think of. It's a really great opportunity. Like you
What are
get
your favorites? What have you been able to do or see going this path?
yeah. I mean, for me, I would say my deployments have been definitely like a personal high. I've
Mhm.
deployed to Afghanistan twice
Mm,
for 9 months at a time. It's just really great opportunity. You get to meet a bunch of new people, make a lot of connections and stuff like
mhm.
that.
Right. A lot of travel in your future, probably. You wanna go back to places you've seen, I would imagine.
Right? Yeah, yeah, definitely.
That's great. Well, we really appreciate your time, and we hope that this helps someone else who might be thinking of going into the military after high school, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.